Hello everyone, we are Team MAK and today we are sharing our analysis of Curse Reverse, an instructional math game designed for middle school students. We will start by providing a summary of the game, its objectives and rules. Then we will go through a short demonstration of the gameplay, followed by our analysis of the game using the 5 planes of stimulus appraisal rubric. We will close with talking about improvements of what may be needed to maximize the learning potential of this game to reinforce basic algebra skills. This game was created by Math Snacks, a partnership between New Mexico State University and the National Science Foundation, to create games and other educational tools for middle school students to help with understanding math. Many teachers in southwestern New Mexico utilize Math Snacks tools and incorporate them in their instruction. This website also has a link describing how their games and resources are research-based. Curse Reverse was created to help prepare learners for algebra by creating patterns with shapes to represent algebraic expressions, which is one of the Common Core standards for 5th and 6th grade students. Instead of having the students just practice creating algebraic expressions, the game has an engaging narrative. Treasures were stolen from different regions, causing a curse to be unleashed, and the learner is tasked with going through the different regions to retrieve the treasures to break the curse. The objective of the game is simple. Gather the stolen treasures and navigate the traps, manipulating coefficients and variables to create bridges and platforms in as few moves as possible to finish each puzzle. To play Curse Reverse, players need internet access, a keyboard, and a mouse. Players use the arrow keys, or WASD, to move the character, and the mouse, or trackpad, to change the height of the pillars. 3 stars can be earned in each puzzle map. You get 1 star for replacing only the main stolen treasure, and 2 stars if you replace all of the treasure. To get 3 stars, the player must replace all the treasure by navigating through the map in no greater number of steps, as is displayed in the mission objective shown to the player prior to each map. The demonstration of gameplay in Curse Reverse begins at a location that is level 2 of 7 levels. Each of the 7 levels contain about half a dozen puzzle maps. You can see in this video that the player must navigate through the obstacles, replacing the stolen treasures that are denoted by the white outlines. In this map, we can see the variable D can be increased or decreased to raise or lower the platforms. The first level begins with only variables to contend with and manipulate, but in the second level, we can see that coefficients have been introduced. Each of the levels contain at least one bonus map, where the player is tasked with creating a platform of the correct height and writing an algebraic expression that represents that pillar. The next room expands on the idea, introducing some pillars that are only coefficients, while some are a combination of coefficients and variables, making this map slightly more challenging than the previous, and yet the puzzle is slightly less complicated, allowing the player to focus on integrating the increased algebra difficulty. This little cutscene shows the game mechanic introduced in the next map. This new puzzle has the player creating horizontal structures, adding a new dimension of challenge to the game, and requiring players to integrate a new gameplay mechanism introduced in the cutscene. The game continues to scaffold and escalate in difficulty as the player progresses through the levels. The Schumann-Scherer model is broken down into 5 planes that include presentation, practice, production, and posting, as well as participation and collaboration. The presentation plane is based on how relevant the needs and goals are for the learner, the promotion of a self and social image, and the presentation of new and interesting material that is pleasant and thought-provoking, including visual and audio aids to guide users. We found the presentation plane of Curse Reverse to be very engaging. The game has an appealing color palette and style with smooth animation, nice graphics, and sound effects and music that engage the user in a puzzle adventure ambiance of the maps. The game feels novel without being disorienting. It's a puzzle platformer that uses the conventional game controls, but the story is fresh and fun, and the integration of algebra concepts does not feel clunky or forced. Practice provides opportunities to develop proficiency in application of a skill, and through repetition and practice, we can build knowledge. This game is designed to give learners ample time to complete each map, with no time constraints, no consequence for failure, and no enemies to defeat. Just a puzzle to solve using logic and the fundamentals of algebra. Each puzzle map within the 7 levels begins with objectives and goals for the map, including the maximum number of moves allowed for the third star. Each level, represented in a separate archaeological site, contains a series of maps that are carefully constructed puzzles that scaffold learners through a series of maps that gradually increase in difficulty and always build upon prior challenges. We found participation and collaboration to be somewhat difficult with Cursory Verse. This is not a multiplayer game, which means there are not ready opportunities for collaboration. Additionally, there is no built-in option for instructors to capture student progress or stats. Students could take screenshots and share their accomplishments with peers or instructors, and there is a teacher's guide that provides some suggestions for encouraging learners to share different approaches to solving the puzzles. Overall, we gave this game a rating of 5 because it meets the game's objectives and it is a quality supplementary resource for practicing a basic understanding of algebraic expressions. We do want to emphasize that this game cannot replace actual instruction of the math, but it can help to make the learner make connections of what was taught in class and vice versa. The game provides a good mix of practice and is carefully scaffolded for emerging and advancing learners, provides the learner with visual representation of how algebraic expressions are constructed instead of just relying on numbers. The game is also a good example of the concrete representational and abstract model that is widely used in mathematics, especially for students with learning disabilities. The learner starts off by simply adjusting the number of pillars, which is an example of concrete math, relying solely on manipulation of objects. As learners move through the different stages, they start needing to build expressions. At higher levels, the ability to adjust the pillars is locked, forcing learners to compute and enter a number. This represents the concrete stage where learners utilize the math and can finally navigate through the levels with few errors, demonstrating mastery. The game is engaging, although frustrating when we could not achieve 3 stars on a map, but that mostly motivated us to work harder at each puzzle. We expect that learners will go through the same process and feel a sense of accomplishment when they receive 3 stars. We believe this is a good choice for motivating students to take time to practice algebra. One of the recommendations we have for this game is to provide a multiplayer option. As we learned from Cap and Estoril and others, social interactivity is important. It allows learners to work with each other to solve complex problems, especially needed in mathematics. We envision that a multiplayer option could allow learners to build algebraic expressions and solve puzzles in teams, working together on maps that would compel students to use their knowledge of algebraic expressions to solve puzzles, while at the same time working in collaboration with their peers. We hope that our analysis was informative, and we encourage you to check out the game. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.